Hi, I am Don.
And I'm Beau.
And, Luke is AWOL. He had more important things to do than talk about video games.
I can't imagine.
It's amazing.
I know.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
What a charmed life he lives that he has such a problem.
I mean, our day jobs are completely meaningless compared to this, I think.
Mine quite actually is. My day job. Family is the only thing going on in my life that has meaning other than video games.
Oh, way to just put that on me. Yeah. I have family. I don't have any trauma in my background. I just have anxiety for no reason.
And that's why we aren't good Fire Emblem characters.
We really
no
aren't.
Trauma in our background. No more than the average human being has.
So to recap, we're not going to do Golden Deer this time because it's the biggest, meatiest, beefiest route because it has Raphael. And it's only going to get beefier as it goes on. And we need Luke here because he was here for our actual playthrough of it.
Right, and it just feels wrong
it.
to do without Luke.
Yeah. And frankly, we need at least someone with a fresh perspective. And I don't think I have the time of the day to actually finish a Golden Deer run from start to finish. So
right,
and Eureka just came out, so if I do play another run of Fire Emblem, which would be 3 runs for me, it would just be another Crimson Flower run, specifically because I need to have. I am partaking in delicious sweets.
Did we mention that Eureka is
the Death Knight?
Yeah. Well, did we mention that he's recruitable now?
He is recruitable.
He is romanceable. And you can have butler battalions.
Okay, I did not know that.
Yeah, there are butler battalions available, and there's new outfits.
Okay.
And I believe new quests.
Okay. But thing about Eureka, he's free. You just have to romance him, which you can do.
So, free, but you're still paying in the end. You know what I'm saying?
I paid my $60 at release, and they gave me Eureka.
No, I meant dating. You're gonna have to buy.
Yeah.
Well,
he does like his sorbet. By the way, last time we talked about Crimson Flower, and in the ending, we kind of talked about how you don't directly deal with those that slither. With Eureka, the last thing he does is just go on a one-man rampage against those who slither because Edelgard told him to.
Oh yeah,
and basically, like instead of I say basically a ton now that I think about it, essentially, in a like-minded way. He is like a solid snake being like Edelgard is coming up on the
Edelgard. I'm at the insertion point.
I must find a worthy opponent that can finally kill me. I really kind of wish he just was just Donkey Kong so we can have the DK rap, but oh well. We have yet another person with we're going to talk about Church Root, by the way. I'm sorry.
That's where all this is heading.
Eureka, though, he has the same trauma as just about anyone in Fire Emblem, and he's kind of got a Fei Fong Wong thing going on. Eureka is the Death Knight, but at the same time, he's not. He considers the Death Knight a part of him that is not himself. His core person is not a monster. He's just had so much monstrous things happen to him. He's done so many monstrous things in return. He projects all that onto the character of the Death Knight.
It's kind of like Umbra, the warrior, not the weapon, from the Elder Scrolls.
Yeah.
Except that instead of just waiting around for someone to kill him and take the sword, he manifested that trauma as a... But no, like the first thing I think of when I think of Eureka and that he's done and has done is Umbra's speech from Morrowind. The I have held the torch that burnt the village and brought the water that put it out. Like Umbra doesn't talk like that. He's an orc.
Yeah. I'm sure there's actual literature we could be referencing here, but this is a video game podcast.
Fuck literature.
Anime
like, who
podcast.
Reads? Like,
speaking,
we play video games.
Yeah. Well. Technically, I try to keep up with it. I'm an old man now. This is actually like the first video game podcast I have been a part of that has actually been released within 10 years. Right. Like New Vegas was 2010, I think.
Yeah, New Vegas was 2010.
Okay, never mind. Two within two. Like next one's gonna be dedicated to Mega Man X2.
I just the only reason I knew it was 2010 is I just posted a screenshot to the Donorom's Facebook page the other day of Ice-T tweeting him playing Fallout New Vegas. He loved it.
Nice.
He loved it. Ice-T, if you want to be a part of New Vegas Part 2.
The kids call it Hoppy Juice.
We love your work, Ice. We love your work.
No, dude, I watch Law and Order specifically for
Right,
Ice-T.
Law and Order. You're
Speaking
great
of,
time.
it is Christmas, and that means Something Awful is making their Christmas album again. Their 2017 album, there is a radio play of Law and Order Christmas Unit, and there is an Ice-T character who beats Santa up after Santa confesses to a robbery and uses his magical powers to escape. So go to Something Awful, pay your $10 registration fee, and just enjoy. Or if you don't want to do that, go onto YouTube. It's all there.
It's all there.
Free, and it's funny. But okay, that's enough plugging of an ancient dead gay website by an ancient dead gay millennial. Okay, church route.
Church route. Leading into
a church route.
leading into the church route, the end of part 1 is pretty much the same, right?
Yeah.
Edelgard attacks the monastery. You defend it. You get knocked into a canyon.
Yeah.
So this wakes you up.
Yeah. Instead of defending Edelgard, you agree with Rhea that she has to die. So Rhea has no reason to go ape shit on you. And Edelgard just laments that you're not going with her.
You agree that she has to die.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Like, I have to kill her. She's got to die. The thing that sets Rhea off isn't saying, no, I agree with Edelgard. It's like, no, let's not kill her. Let's interrogate her. Like, maybe not immediately kill everyone.
Oh, wow. It isn't that you side with her. It's that you're like...
do you remember that scene where the people of the Western Church say, we're not with them? What are you talking about?
Right, and Rhea's
There's
like,
clearly a bunch of things going on that could be clarified with one successful interrogation.
Right, but Rhea's... she's very...
once you're on her bad side, there's no real way to talk yourself out
like
of it.
Minsk from Baldur's Gate 2.
I have
Swords, not
thought it
words.
through. Believe me. He hasn't actually thought it through. I had plenty of drop ships on New Gettysburg. I could have gotten her out. And that siege tank. He's the forgotten hero of New Gettysburg.
Belay that order. It all comes back to Arcturus, Minsk.
Yeah.
Always.
And or Horus. But okay, yeah. So if you agree to kill Edelgard, Rhea, it's just golden deer and blue lions. You defend the monastery, and Thales knocks you off a mountain, and it works for 5 years, and then you wake up because of your healing coma.
And you remember that you promised your students.
Yeah.
So now, here's what's interesting is I'm assuming you still have the Black Eagle students.
Yes.
All
abandon Edelgard for you except for Hubert. Because Hubert is loyal specifically.
Tied to Edelgard.
Yeah.
You can't, right. Just as Dedu or Hilda.
Yeah. Much like Dedu, Hubert has been Edelgard's really only friend since childhood.
Right.
So there's no reason he's going to... I love Hubert because he's the evil vizier who just screams, I'm going to betray you, and he never does.
Right.
He is the loyalist man on earth.
He's Jafar if Jafar had been loved more as a child.
Yeah. Or hated more by the right people. We didn't address this, but Hubert kills his father, and it's like it was a shame. He opposed Edelgard. He knew he knew the risks, man. He knew the cost of crossing me.
So there is a meeting at dawn, and all these students who have perfectly good reasons for following Edelgard in the Edelgard route,
they
now
all
have perfectly good reasons for not.
You opposed Edelgard, and their reason for giving Edelgard the leap of faith is because you did. The reason they didn't is because you did.
You didn't. That makes perfect sense.
I
know that I've actually recruited Dorothy on my first run into Blue Lions because she's hella easy to recruit, and I know that she's just sort of super despondent after the time skip. She's just so it. I guess it makes sense where she'd go. Ferdinand, of course, was fucked by Edelgard, his family, so makes sense. I could see they actually did that kind of brilliantly, where there's a good reason. This, boat would tip either way.
Petra is a really good one because it makes sense for her to leave because she wants independence for Brigid. Opposing the Empire is a good way to do that. But if she stays with the Empire, it's an interesting thing. If you bring Shamir to the Embar level and have her attack Petra in a route where she is still loyal to Edelgard, she will say, Petra, you don't have to fight me. You're a hostage of the Empire. You don't have to be their slave anymore. Look, I might have been a slave once, but not anymore. I am the will of the Emperor. And I've had one person say, like, wow, she's really been brainwashed by the Empire. Well, if that's not really the case. All of Edelgard's supports with Petra are very supportive, and it kind of makes sense when you realize that Edelgard is in the exact same position that Petra is in. She's a puppet being groomed to be a puppet, and she wants to break free.
Right. Petra is definitely a very interesting character, and it's the it kind of goes back to the whole, do you work in the system or do you oppose the system? It's the whole, I ain't voting for Biden no matter what, that sort of thing. The I believe you've identified it before as purity of ideology getting in the way of just common practical sense.
Yeah, well,
so that's pretty good with Petra.
Yeah, I really like Petra as a character. She's got the cool, like, at first it's like, wow, she's really cool. She's the cool foreign exchange student. It's kind of sad she's stuck with all these theater group losers and the Black Eagles. Right. And then you like go to the dance competition where somebody says, dude, you dance like a fish in a skillet. And then Petra freaks out and says, we must crush the opposition. Whoa, Petra, what's going on? I will not be as a fish upon the flame. Okay, she belongs here. This is her home. This is
the
Anyway, when you go
to a meeting to Dawn,
you go to the monastery. Edelgard is there.
Oh,
she showed up for the reunion. She's alone, and she is waiting for her friends to come back, but they haven't. Not for her anyway. And she is kind of looking out a window, and then she sees you come, and you have the same reunion you would have in Crimson Flower, only she's asking you to join her again, and you refuse again, and you have an anime cutscene where the two of you cross blades, and you both wind up in the situation where you have your knife at the other person's neck, and you both stop a half inch away from it, and then you both withdraw and walk away. Like, next time we meet, one of us isn't leaving.
A hesitation she would not have shown anyone else. She stabs Dimitri when Dimitri holds his hand out for Mercy, her brother, in effect. So, it's very fascinating. She has this adoration of this character.
When you think about Edelgard, like from the perspective of, like, you think that she's a pampered noble, but then you realize she spent her whole life, like Petra, with the sword of Damocles. If she is not useful to her captors, then she will be put to death.
Right.
When she is at the monastery, she's finally kind of free, and her, like, in all the roots, really, you are kind of a representation of that freedom. And if she wants to earn your respect because you're free, you're not one of those who slither, you're not really with the church. Getting you on her side means
Gerald
a lot.
Was very good. Which, by the way, is the church route where we find out more about Gerald exactly?
A little, yes, quite a bit.
So we'll get into that.
Right. But after this fight with Edelgard, Byleth just watches her leave, and then he goes into the monastery, and Sedith is just hanging around. And they're like, hey, it's you. You're back after 5 years. Like, okay, this is our lord. We don't have Claude. We don't have Edelgard. We have Sedith. He's fun. I like him. He writes children's fiction. He's got a character. he's a good brother quote unquote figure.
We know this by now. Though. That's a part one parallel.
And he's got that. He's got a snappy dresser. He's got a cool voice actor.
He has a fantastic voice.
There's potential here.
Yeah.
He's got a good level head on his shoulders. He calls into question Rhea. He has a good, like, when I first played this, look, I really like Edelgard, but I'm curious to see how the church route handles this.
Yes.
And Seth seems like he would be well positioned to recognize the faults in the church and the system, recognize Edelgard for what she is, and maybe expand on the story a little bit. Basically, he just says, essentially what he says is, we've left a bunch of crap here, and since, nobody's here, we figured we'd come back for it. Oh, no, there's bandits here. Oh, okay, I guess we'll fight bandits. So you have that mission.
Meeting at dawn, and this is when your students show up.
Yeah, the students show back up, and it's the same happy reunion where everyone shows up and like, okay, guys, since you're all here specifically for me, you're not going to follow Fargus, you're not going to follow the Alliance, you're following the Church of Saros as its own separate entity, army. Yeah. And, by the way, while we're here, since we're going to make Garreg Mach our base of operations, We should probably address the elephant in the room. The Empire's probably going to attack. We don't know exactly. They probably have spies. Notice Byleth at no point says, Edelgard left 5 minutes ago. She could probably hear She could probably hear us. She's probably like looking through binoculars. Like she's got a thing for me. I don't know if you picked that up. She probably didn't go that far. And then somebody immediately says like, okay, we're gathering the Knights of Seros. We're going to find Rhea. You care about that, right? Yeah, she had like a few things to say to me, I guess. So yeah, we'll find Rhea. And the Empire shows up to attack. Because like, oh no, we've been found out. How could this happen? Edelgard's right there. She was on foot in an armored skirt. She wasn't moving that far. Oh God, I hate that. Okay, I'm sorry. Church Root's not really my favorite. But you fight.
Let's do it for the podcast.
Yeah. You fight off the attackers. Randolph is there. I think Ladislava is there. Interesting thing about those two characters, they're both basically mooks, essentially mooks. You don't really know a whole lot about them, but they keep showing up. They're like placeholder generals, they're especially useful for this particular group because Edelgard has no friends.
Right.
So she needs people with faces. But they also say a lot about Edelgard as a faction leader that we'll get into in a little bit, because after a while, you said it's like, okay, we're going to get reinforcements from friendly nobles, good God-fearing nobles, and we're going to find Rhea. That's my goal. It's pretty much I'm a one-track mind here. We're gonna find Rhea. So Judith of Daphne agrees to give soldiers if they can. So you go to that fucking ILL place or whatever. I honestly, it's been a while since I played it. You go to Valley Tournament. You have that. The big fight that stands out for me is the Bridge of Murden.
Yes.
Yeah, because that is where you are first going to encounter. You're going to encounter a lot of Slava there, I believe. Now, and she does not retreat. Judith of Daphne on the Crimson Flower route, she tries to retreat. They try to pull back once the battle goes against them. Ladislava never does. That's just a gameplay function. You have to kill every Imperial on the map because they will not give it up. And when Ladislava dies, she thanks Edelgard for the faith that she put in her. And then Sedith will remark, wow, they Imperials, they fought to the last man. That's weird. Something's going on here. And you think, okay, Sedith, he's growing. He has received new information, and he is going to recognize that this thing that is going on is that there are people who really, really liked that manifesto. And in the Crimson Flower route, you don't really get to know Ladislava that much. She's basically just a really popular general with the commoners. There's a bunch of people, random people in the monastery who says they're all nameless villagers or merchants. Like, Ladislava, she's great. I want to grow up to be just like her. And it's kind of interesting when a child of commoner birth is saying, I want to be just like her when I grow up, which gives the implication that is feasible.
Right, exactly.
Because we don't know who she is. And the implication with Sedith is we don't know who Ladislava is. She just came up, she joined Edelgard, and she rose to the ranks. There's a... Like, this is where you see Edelgard's idea of letting anyone with talent rise as far as they can. And it's not very outright stated, but that's kind of what Ladislava represents. She owes everything to Edelgard. And that's why she fought to the end, because she believes firmly in Edelgard. Mm-hmm. And that's a really interesting thing to approach from the outside perspective. Church just doesn't really do that well for me, because at some point, Sedith and Flayn have a conversation where, like, what is Edelgard hoping to do?
What is her deal?
Why is she... Doesn't she know that revolution is wrong? Has she not considered the plight of the poor trash cans being beaten up by Antifa? And then Flayn will say, I think she wants the manifesto she specifically mailed out to everyone on their tax return said that she wants to abolish the nobility and allow everyone a chance to rise. And then said, I can see how the commoners might mistakenly go for this, but the good people of Fodlan want Rhea. They know where... They're good people. Good people don't rebel against the church. There can be no good. No. There can't be anything good about Edelgard. We don't have to address anything. We don't have to change our approach. We just need to get Rhea back. You want Rhea back, don't you, Professor? Sure. So you keep while you're doing all this, you're having wacky fun time adventures. And Gronder Field happens. The Battle of Gronder Field, that cool battle in Golden Deer, Blue Lions, that cool cutscene, that happens off screen.
You don't go to Gronder
Field? This is fun. Okay, Gilbert shows up. Like, I'm so good to see the Knights of Cerros back in action. The good old proud Americans standing for the flag. Look, we've got King Dimitri's alive, man. And he's raising an army. We're going to take down Edelgard. Can you help us? We don't have that many troops, guy. Like, you can use our bridge. You can use our fancy Bridge of Murden, but we're not going to wait.
So at this point, you've taken back the Bridge of Murden.
I think it's right after Bridge of Murden that Gilbert will show up. Congratulations. It's good to see the good old Christian boys kicking names and taking ass again. Wait, now Dimitri has an army. He's with the Holy Kingdom of Fargus. Will you join us, combine our forces, and take down Edelgard? And Cetus says no because we're spread too thin looking for Rhea. We have other priorities, sir.
So this whole run, the church run, is basically just like man, look at this cool thing that's about to happen.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
It's kind of it's what people will wrongheadedly accuse the Golden Deer route of being, because Golden Deer is detached from the story narratively, but they do Scooby-Doo. They do at least take an interest in it.
Right.
And they're always sticking their noses in it without really knowing what's going on. So you're at least involved with the story. With this, look, there's about to be a showdown between the Kingdom of Fargus, the Alliance, apparently, and Edelgard. And we're not going to see it. And we're not going to help. Because said no. Said so. And while you're off doing your other... I can't even remember half the missions in here. I'm sorry. I'm just bad at remembering church route. But I do remember this because it's unforgettable. Somebody will show up and say, the Battle of Gronder Field is over. Oh, what happened? Well, Edelgard was severely injured and the Imperial army has retreated back to Embar. Everyone celebrates, like, yeah, severely injured. I bet she's in pain. I bet she regrets ever raising her banners against the church. I've got like, okay, so what else happened? Well, Dimitri's dead.
He died at Gronder Field?
He died at Gronder Field off camera.
Oh my god! He's the best fucking character in the game!
He gets murked by some random Imperial soldiers.
I'm just picturing like Dimitri like marching to battle and then just like getting like too many shots from a needler and someone teabagging him like in the middle of the field like,
this is for Ladislava. Who?
He's the best fucking... Like, it honestly makes me mad that he doesn't go insane in any of the other runs.
He does in Golden Deer.
Oh, does he?
Yeah. Oh. Crimson Flower, he's a little better put together, but he's still there. He's still teetering.
God, that anime cutscene where he goes nuts is like the best scene in the whole game.
It really is. It's got a lot of personality.
It's wonderfully animated. It's got a lot of personality, and I just love the part where someone's like he's completely lost it. And he's like, nope, this is Dimitri, buddy. Like,
and the reason he lost it is because of the primary antagonist of his route.
Exactly. Like, it's just
so there's a reason you're doing all this. And look, I really have a weakness in fiction for motherly, overbearing women. like, I did do a separate video on Kreia.
Exactly.
But
it's a great character archetype.
Even I am a little bit unable to attach myself to Rhea enough that all my priorities come back to finding Rhea when other things are happening that could help accomplish that.
But so what? So I'm guessing nothing special happens at Murd in the church run. There's nothing great that happens when you take that bridge.
Not really. You just you have the bridge, and you can now you can attack Embar.
So Gronderfield's done.
Gronderfield is done. Oh, another thing happens at Gronderfield. Claude leaves.
So, like, the biggest two beats in the story happen off screen in the church run.
Somebody shows up and says, Edelgard is severely wounded. Everyone celebrates for a hot minute, and then they find out that Dimitri's dead and the kingdom is in chaos. And also the Alliance got heavily mauled by the Empire during their rearguard action, and Claude decided it wasn't worth it, so he left for Elmira. And he's no longer a player in the story. It's all just Seteth and... Seteth could Seteth and his quest to find Rhea. Look, I'm sorry for the dead air.
This is the Skyrim run. This is the Skyrim.
It's the mile wide, inch deep, where cool things are being hinted at and never followed up upon because you've been given a quest marker. You remember in Morrowind where you're told to take arcane routes. Like okay, I don't know exactly where this is, but there's a cave somewhere between this tree that looks like this and a spoon. You have to find the spoon sticking out of a rock.
Yeah, and people that get mad about that make me so mad because it's called fucking flavor. That's what it's called.
You paid $60 for a game. Take the time to take the time to learn your way around. But yeah, and this route you have a quest marker, and that quest marker is Rhea. And I don't care how many cool things are happening in the setting. You need to keep your eye on the ball.
It's that guy in the reach sharpening his sword.
Yeah. Scaffolding will be ours again. You do get some interesting support. Seteth is very pleased that you stayed loyal to Rhea and the church, like a good boy.
You're kidding. That's how he feels about it.
Pretty much. And he says, you are like family to us. You have green hair. Because you have... basically what he's revealing is, in case you haven't pieced it together by... him having the same birthday as Saint Keyhole, Flayn having the same birthday as Saint Sethlane, Rhea having the same birthday as Saint Saros, there being a giant turtle that will call Flayn his niece. The saints are still hanging out, and two of them are Seteth and Flayn,
who are married to each other. No,
they're not married. They're father and daughter.
Father and daughter.
Yes. And they're they're hiding out. The reason they constantly hide out and hide their identities is because using dragon blood, the children of the goddess, parts of them, is a way you can make some really cool weapons and get some cool powers. Sometimes you get too many cool powers in one person. You get magic cancer like Lysathea, but
so Seteth and Flayn are effectively hiding from those that slither.
Yes,
and Seteth knows that this is something that's coming to a head. But rather than address it, he should know. Rhea.
He should know.
Yeah.
He doesn't. He knows there are people who oppose, who have beef with the children of the goddess. He doesn't actually know that much about them and what they're doing.
So are they directly related to Saros?
They're children of the goddess, so I guess Sothis... I guess you could say they're hatchlings if they're dragons. They shared a nest before they took human form. I don't know.
And Sothis is the big bad dragon. Sothis is the dragon.
Well, she's the little gremlin with the green hair.
No, I know who Sothis is, but like she back in the day, she was the big dragon. Okay.
Yeah, you could call her the progenitor god who either created the world or recreated it after the Neo Tokyo was destroyed in an anime, like Akira happened. And then Sothis fixed it.
Because those that slither are the remnants of that ancient
humanity. And then when Nemesis came along, some ancient human popped up out of a bunker and says, "Hey, you like swords? Bring me the spine of a dragon. Don't tell anyone where we are."
Tube sweet, fella. Get it over here.
Anyway, yeah, Seth has no real clue about those who slither. As far as he is concerned, the problem is that
Ray is
Edelgard is kicking trash cans and breaking storefront windows for no reason, punching harmless Nazis who just want to display their point of view.
About the shopkeepers, damn it.
Sedith, I love you, but at the same time, God.
Sedith is very much.
You were so level-headed. I figured you'd at least consider, because the scene with him and Flame discussing Edelgard's ideology and how it's kind of an indictment on the church that so many people are turning. Because he says the good people of Fulden are not going for this. In this route, half of Fargus has gone for this. Half of the Alliance has gone for this. People are cheering some no-name general specifically because they think they can be that person.
He's literally taking concern trolling to his grave. It's
the Simpsons meme. Am I out of touch?
No.
It is the children who are wrong.
Oh my God, Sedith is very Principal Skinner.
Yeah. Oh my God, he is.
Steamed
Thousands of years old. He is delightfully awkward when he's not being infuriating. What if I...
So who's Chalmers?
I guess... Oh,
I guess
God.
Ray is Chalmers.
I can't... I don't have the brain cells to rub together for that one right now. Church takes things from me, man.
Steamed hams. It's an old...
Anyway, you do finally get your act together and says, Ray is probably an Imbar. You know that place where Dimitri was going? That we could have hitchhiked along with, maybe saved him. Oh, by the way, you do see Dimitri again in this run. It's a very bizarre scene. I don't know if I was just in the wrong headspace for it. You're like standing in the middle of Garreg Monastery, and Dimitri shows up. Professor, you must take control. I leave the kingdom to... And he leaves.
Is it his ghost?
I don't know. I don't know, because Sedith walks into frame and distracts you. You break eye contact with Dimitri.
After you heard he was dead.
Yeah. You hear Dimitri is dead. Then you see him and he says you have to take control of the world because he's gone. Or, I'm sorry, leaving. And then you're like, wait. And then you're like, wait. And like, Sedith, look, it's Dimitri. There's no one here. You were over here talking. I didn't see anyone else. Don't do this to me right now, Sedith. I don't need this.
Anyway, Rhea.
No. Dimitri was here, goddammit. Yes. Look, when you first came to us, you were talking to a little girl in your head half the time. Yeah, I'm sure Dimitri is really happy in afterlife. But yeah, he forced ghosts away.
So it's coming to a head.
Yeah, you go to Imbar.
Now, have we found out any more about Gerald at this point or not?
Not yet, but we will, I promise.
Okay.
You go to Imbar. No, you go to Fort Mercius and Golden Deer. There's a cool way you do it. Cool things happen at Fort Mercius. And this one, you don't. You just like, okay, this fortress is impossible to take. We're gonna take it.
I thought Aaron Road was the impregnable fortress.
It is. It's like the OG. This is like the
impregnable. It is an impregnable fortress.
Orion Road is the Bernie Sanders of impregnable fortresses. Fort Mercius is the Warren. They serve a similar narrative purpose, and regardless of which,
identical.
It depends on which one is the most important to you personally.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Because there are some routes where your upbringing might lead you to think Orion Road is more important because you're going to have to run into it. Anyway, you take Fort Mercius and ICBMs happen, which happen
those happen in every single run except for Blue Lions.
Except for Blue Lions, yeah.
Yeah, they're the only ones that
you don't get the cutscene for it in Crimson Flower because Crimson Flower doesn't deserve cutscenes, but yeah. You do see magic. You see literal ICBMs. You might as well just have Red Alert Soviet march music playing. The best part is the Death Knight is at Fort Mercius, and then like you're about to square off with him, finish this once and for all, and then he's like, and then he looks up at the sky, and you remember that one G.I. Joe edit PSA video. Oh shit! Run! Get the fuck out of here, you stupid idiots! Fuck, we're all dead! Get the fuck out! He runs away, tells you to run away, and then everyone evacuates. Fort Mercy is evaporated in nuclear hellfire. Seteth says, "Huh."
Onwards to Rhea.
Okay, go find Rhea.
Onwards to Rhea.
I'm sure that it's the weather, liberal. This happens all the time. This is like, I'm sorry, I thought global warming was supposed to be hot. What's this now you're talking about a nuclear winter over this general region.
Hell, I heard Rhea's economy was so good that Edelgard applied for citizenship.
Let's go find Rhea. So you go to Embar and you face off. It's pretty similar to Golden Deer. I think probably pretty similar to Blue Lions. You face off with... You
go to Embar and Golden Deer.
Yeah, you do. It's like... And you face off with... normally, you would face off with all of Edelgard's friends who have remained loyal. And this one, all of Edelgard's friends have turned against her because this is the world's most depressing route for Edelgard. The girl with terrible social anxiety and trust issues has lost all her friends just the way she always feared she would.
And they're on their way to
kill her, and completely reject her ideals and basically confirm all of her worst fears about herself.
Dawn's attached to Edelgard.
I kind of am.
She's a fantastic character.
But you face off with Hubert, who is just Hubert. He's casting magic at you and just refuses to go down until you kill him.
He doesn't have a very interesting exchange in Blue Lions. He just sort of dies.
He just basically with the main character, if you kill him, he's like, I should have disposed of you a long time ago. It's a shame that she was so attached to you that I wouldn't. He says the same with the Blue Lions. Yeah. Like the only reason I didn't kill you is because Edelgard was so attached to you, and it would have broken her heart. And God. Questions for afterlife, I guess.
It's very, very interesting, Hubert's character, too, because his thing with Edelgard, it's never like a romance thing.
It really isn't.
He's genuinely her friend. He's genuinely loyal to her, and I think that's a super cool thing to see.
It really is. He does have romantic feelings for her. He chooses not to pursue them because he does not feel they would be reciprocated, and he doesn't need that to be her friend.
Exactly.
That is the healthiest. Hubert is the healthiest male character in a lot I've seen in a while.
Yeah. I always joke about him being incel to do, but that's just funny because the way he looks.
Yeah. Dorothea actually has a really funny series of supports. Like, you like 80, don't you? Yes, we're very good friends. We've known each other forever. So when are you gonna get married and have babies? If she told me to, I probably would. But look, she's an important person. She'll probably have to marry for political purposes. Well, what about you? Will you have to marry for political purposes? If Edelgard points me at a woman, I'll marry her. What about me? Yeah, I'll marry you. That's their support chain.
Edelgard points to you.
Yeah.
So anyway, Hubert's dead.
And Edelgard does not turn to a monster in this route for whatever reason. She just doesn't need to, doesn't want to. She just stands in her room and fights the last stand in the throne room. And she has the same mournful dialogue where I wanted to walk with you with the main character. That's what she wanted more than anything, and she's not getting it. And
do we ever get explained to why?
Remember when we were talking about earlier when she spent her whole life under the shadow of people who would kill her?
Freedom, or he or she.
You represent free. Imagine like it's in the middle of election season, and you're very fervently attached to one set of political beliefs. This other person is attached to their political beliefs. You kind of doubt that anyone would ever actually be swayed to your side because they're so cemented in the way in the society they were grew up in, they'd never be able to change. Then you find this completely emotionless shell that nevertheless has a burgeoning personality. If you can convince him, it would validate you. If you make your pitch, they make their pitch, and they agree with you, that'd mean a lot.
Right.
If this person had started out saving your life from a bandit, that might have a little bit more to it.
Because And it's interesting to note that no matter what route you take, it will always be Edelgard that is almost killed by the bandit.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Even though she is kind of responsible for that bandit attack for whatever reason, it's not really explained that well.
And Sothis, mentions, hey, you should save her life. I always found that interesting. The fact that it literally would have solved that whole war if Edelgard would have died right then and there.
Well, those who slither were gearing up the Adrestian Empire for war long before she was born.
But not war for the purposes she put
Yeah,
into.
she hijacks their war.
She hijacks their war. But such a good character.
Because Edelgard is the Adrestian Empire is going to war with the church no matter what. Edelgard is the one who says, okay, I'm not just going to be a puppet here. I'm going to get people on my side specifically. I'm going to find people like Ladislava and Randolph, elevate them. They're going to be loyal to me, not Arundel. And the reason for that is because Arundel is going to go down once she doesn't need him.
Arundel might be one of the most wicked villains in video game history, by the way. He is absolutely irredeemable. He is deliciously irredeemable. They did, because he's not irredeemable to the point where you don't believe it. Like, you believe he's that shitty.
Yeah.
But he is that shitty.
Like, even if he is technically a pod person.
But still.
Yeah.
But still.
There's a person there. He's not like an evil clone doing this for some reason.
Excellent villain. So anyway,
you kill Edelgard, and it goes to a cutscene. And Edelgard is...
An anime cutscene?
Anime cutscene. Edelgard is kneeling on the ground, trying to hold herself up, and she's openly weeping. Now, there is a part in Edelgard's route, I think it might even be before the split, where Edelgard specifically says that the Edelgard who cries died a long time ago. And that breaks in Crimson Flower when she's crying because she thinks you're dead, and then crying out of happiness when she realizes you're alive. It breaks here where she's just lost and she knows it, and she now has nothing, and
she never cries in Blue Lions. That's important to note.
She basically just laments that I wanted to walk with you as her last words, and Byleth, with absolutely no emotion whatsoever, cleaves her in half, and the screen goes black. It is very jarring. Like, it's a very well-acted scene. Edelgard's voice actress puts in a lot of work, and Byleth shows no emotion whatsoever, and it just doesn't really work.
It almost seems like the church route is the bad route because Byleth and every other route becomes someone, whereas in the church route, it seems like he lives his purpose. I'm using
like,
he can be a female Byleth.
You really have to... You really have to attach yourself to an institution that doesn't have much... That doesn't have a main character selling it. Like, you don't have a Dimitri to attach yourself to, Claude or Edelgard. They're all really good characters, and Seteth is constantly talking about another character who isn't even in the monastery. Your motivation is not talking with you. You're just being told to trust the system when the system has led to this.
Right. Yeah. And it's interesting to note that Seteth will pipe in about Rhea in the Blue Lions, but when you're like, no, he's like, it's fine.
Yeah,
like, he's not as like it's this route. It's unique for him to be that way. He's an excellent character in other routes. He really is. But anyway, so Edelgard's dead now.
Edelgard is dead, and Seteth and Flayn and everyone are
couldn't be happier.
It's all the problems in the world have been fixed, and Tifa has been arrested.
All of them.
All the problems. Like, our illiteracy rates are going to drop.
Finally, billionaires can feel safe walking down.
Cole's going to come back.
Dennis Prager is on top of the world, brother.
That factory that shut down before I was born and left a Post-it note in the fridge saying it's going out to get cigarettes. I'll be right back. It's coming back. It's gonna play softball with me, man. Capitalism loves me. I have buy-in to the system. But then, just because Hubert is Hubert, death does not stop him from shitting on your parade. A messenger shows up to your victory celebration, and it's not in so many words, but Hubert says, "Sup, fuckers." If you're reading this, I'm dead, and I'm guessing Edelgard's dead, because there's no way she'd be led by you, dumbasses. Anyway, that whole ICBM thing? I managed to do somehow. I managed to triangulate using only one point of reference. This is where those who slither hang out. Oh, and by the way, I've trademarked those that slither. You can't call them anything else. You have to use those that slither. They're the reason the Adrestian Empire was gearing up for war. They're the ones responsible for Dusker. They're the ones responsible for kidnapping Edelgard and doing all those experiments and leading the conservative nobility to revolt against the Adrestian Emperor. They're the ones that are constantly inciting rebellion. They're the ones that are pointing out all the flaws in your system and using them against you. If you want to live in peace, if you can call your system peace, if you're going to have to deal with them. We were going to do that. I had a really cool plan to do that. You ever see The Godfather? Yeah, it was going to happen to them. But, I thought it would be a good idea. I thought our idea would work. But, if you want to do this whole Rhea thing, she's in a closet. You can go get her. You can let her out if you want. We took her walkies, I swear. But all right, here's where Rhea is. Here's where those who slither are. Burn in hell. Sincerely, Hubert von Vestra. Oh, by the way, Petra. Good for you, girl. Hubert is very, very supportive of Petra. He specifically says, Petra, for someone who was brought to the Empire as a hostage who could be killed at any time if your grandfather displeased the nobility, you're doing a lot of good work, girl. You're almost as good as Edelgard. Dude, if Hubert showed up in here and says, this podcast is almost as good as Edelgard's podcast down the road.
That's the best.
Dude,
that's the best.
I'd quit. That's the highest you're going to get in his supports. But
so what do you do with his information? Is the game still going on?
The game is still going on. The game is not over. Edelgard is not the final boss. You said this is like, wow, Hubert managed to triangulate from one point of reference,
which is not how you do that.
Man, we should really interrogate people more.
You know what? Leave Rhea in there for a few minutes.
Oh crap! You wanted to, and Casper shows up. Oh, you wanted to leave Rhea in there. I just let her out. Hi guys. Oh, it's so good to see you again, my sweet child. Tell me everything. Not right now.
Really?
Not right now.
Really?
Not right now. First we have to go to those that slither. And do you like dubstep? Did you know that if you beat this level, you can get a pretty good dubstep soundtrack unlocked, because that is the theme for those who slither. They're constantly jamming in an underground bunker. The party's been hopping for 8,000 years, ever since the nuclear hell war against the dragon aliens. XCOM?
Yeah.
Where humans are banding together, secret government agencies, to resist these aliens that are kind of vaguely benevolent if you take them at their word, but also they're doing kind of weird stuff with humanity. They're really being controlling. XCOM 2, they lose the war and retreat underground. Every now and again, they emerge, pop some shots off, manipulate things, get alien bodies, use them to build weapons. It's those who slither. This is fantasy XCOM.
So you go and raid the bunker?
You go and raid the bunker. It's just a bunch of it's Tron. It's just a Tron level. Everyone you run in there with swords, and there's a bunch of other people with sharper, futuristic looking swords. And dubstep is playing over loudspeakers. There's robots running around.
Robots?
Yeah, there's just robots. And Thales, our Lord Arundel as we know him, he's at the center of it all, talking about the pride of the ancient Agarthan civilization, how he's going to finally get revenge for what we don't really know.
So is he actually an ancient Agarthan, or are these descendants of ancient Agarthans?
I think ancient. It could go either way. He could be God Emperor of Agarthan kind, or he could just be the latest. My grandfather told me not to trust the dragons, and all I've ever heard is dubstep and fuck the dragons. So that's the system I was born into.
Good enough for my daddy.
Good enough for my
daddy's daddy.
I like the idea of Agarth. It's just being a constant rave with flashlights
and redneck mentality.
Yeah, good enough for my daddy.
Joe Diffie plays intermittently between.
Straight people have equal marriage. They can marry a man. Okay, so you beat. So you do like you eventually just you clear out this dungeon, and you take out Thalas, and he hits the fuck it button.
Does he have a better ending than he does in Blue Lions? Because Blue Lions, it's literally like Dimitri's like, tell me everything, and he's like, nah.
Yeah, he puts his fist down on a glyph, which is basically the nuclear button. He calls down ICBMs on his own position as a last fuck you to you. Rhea turns into a dragon, intercepts them in a pretty cool anime cutscene.
Did she come to the fight?
She comes to the fight with you. And she manages to take down some of them with fire breath, others, but it's like missile command. You get too close. If you take them out too close to you, bad things happen.
Right.
So she gets caught up in the blast, and she's injured. And then you go back to the monastery, having finally killed all of those who slither. Trademark Hubert. And Rhea says, I'm really tired. I sure would like to tell you things, but Rhea, no. Like, even said it's like, please, Rhea, please, just do it. Please. Okay. Your mother was a weird homunculus I grew in a vat to become the body of my mother. Unfortunately, she and all the others didn't take. Some of them, like, I really like the idea of there being a secret chamber in Garreg Mach, which is just that room in Alien Resurrection with all the weird Ripleys.
Right.
Like, you walk in, there's a Byleth that's dressed atrociously.
You know what? There's that treasure room you never get to walk
That's
into.
That's true.
Yeah.
You walk in there with a flamethrower, and there's just a Byleth that's both male and female and dressed atrociously with 8 arms. Kill me.
So your mother was made to be the vessel.
Yeah.
Okay.
And but it didn't work. She just turned into a regular human. It's the same situation with the andro with in the first Nier, where replicants were made to house a soul, but they developed a soul of their own, and that messed everything up.
Right.
And there's like the androids is like, okay, we can't appreciate your life over the life of the gestalts. So, but Rhea isn't actually overtly crazy. She lets your mom live as much as she can. She's basically human, but not quite. She still has all that weird sciencey Sothis stuff in her. It's just not. She just didn't manifest as Sothis.
She has failed Sothis clone.
Yeah, she has the Crest of Flames in her. Geralt finds Rhea finds Geralt on the edge of death and gives him her blood to save his life.
Which is why he has that crest.
It's why he has the major Crest of Saros, because it's fresh out of the Rhea. And it's also
piping hot, fresh out the Sothis.
And it's also why he's like centuries old. Because when you have that much dragon blood in you, you become a little bit long. You become long lived. Mm-hmm. And Rhea apparently gives these gifts out quite a bit to people who follow her or people she likes. Crest of Flames was obviously a special case. She doesn't just give that out. She that's why she's so upset when you because your mom gets pregnant with you because she meets Geralt, and somewhere between Geralt being pumped full of dragon blood and your mom being a failed Sothis clone results in you. You are stillborn, and your mother asks Rhea to take her Crest of Flames and give it to you to try to save your life. It works. You don't have a heartbeat, but the Crest of Flames is kind of doing it for you. But at the same time, the Crest of Flames also puts Sothis inside you, so you don't really develop as a human being normally, which is why you're so weird.
But why did the Crest of Flames not work in the mother if it's the same one?
It's
unknown.
It's unknown. It might just be the magic. It could just be the magic combination of
skips a generation.
It could. That is a thing with crests. There are people who have crest bloodlines that don't have crests.
Right.
Hanneman's sister was one of those. That's why she hey, she doesn't have a crest herself, but she has a crest bloodline. Okay, make her have 12 kids. She'll die after one. She should really get an abortion. Abortion's a sin, man. Kill him. keep him coming. Keep him coming. She died. Huh. What are you gonna do? Then that's why Hanneman is yeah. That's why that's one of Hanneman's motivations, by the way.
Right.
Like, he wants to solve the crest problem in his own way. But I think it's just a thing where Geralt has dragon blood. Your mom is literally the closest you can get to Sothis without being Sothis. That makes it kind of work for you.
There's just had that spark.
Yeah.
Sothis appears. So.
And you get but Rhea is still very upset that you did not become Sothis. she's not. She's over it because you've been a good little boy. She's willing to tolerate you having a bit of a personality. Look, okay, you got into a few car wrecks, but you haven't voted Democrat.
I've got higher insurance, but I don't have that damn universal health care tax.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Yep.
So
anyway, Rhea basic.
what about the fire and the question of whether you were born before or after? Well, you obviously were born.
You were
before.
born before, and it's heavily implied Gerald started the fire as a cover
to get out of there with you
and say, "Yeah, the baby died," so that she wouldn't look for you. Because he knew that Rhea, she could be a very good person. Just don't
cross her. That's why he was always telling you to be careful.
Obama at Thanksgiving, or she will turn into a dragon, and bad things will happen.
So that's very fascinating. His personality when he gets found. It's very fascinating that he's like, but fine. And when he shows up, he's like,
just be careful.
Right. He's always reiterating like, don't, because that is her personality.
He knows her triggers.
She's very benevolent, but when she's crossed, she's very.
She's got a lot of issues. She and Edelgard actually have very similar issues in that they both suffered trauma. Well, she and all the main characters have that deep-seated trauma. Her mother gave her life to give the life back to the humans, and then humans, in the form of Nemesis, attacked her people and wiped them all out. And that is why Sedith Flane are so obsessed with finding Rhea, because she is family. The thing is, they're so obsessed with keeping control over the Church of Saros, and by extension, most of Fodlan, is because they have a wolf by the ears. You can't hold on to it. You can't safely let it go. And look, I'm not saying that we don't like humanity. We love humanity, but we can't trust them to be in charge over us. We have to be in charge over them.
Right.
And that is why they trust you, because you're basically family. They always say, it's kind of creepy, you're one of us.
Right.
You're one of us. One green eyes, green hair. I'm just going to chill with the Saint Indek. He's hanging out as a turtle. He's cool. I love the turtle Indek. Mm-hmm. There are 2 saints. There were 5 saints that went to the Dresden Empire. Sedith and Flane were 2 of them. If you take Sedith and Flane to Embar, they will comment on ancient architecture. I gotta remember this place. That place has been closed for 8,000 years. It's like driving by the GE plant in Tell City. I remember that place. What is that place, by the way?
I'm pretty sure the GE plant in Tell City was closed before I was born.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
My granny worked there.
And they will never sell
my
it
grandma.
for some reason. Anyway,
both my grandmothers worked that GE plant.
Yep. At least grandparents. They're not like, "How do you do, fellow kids?" Right. I am a 13-year-old girl with green hair. I haggle at the merchant's place.
But yeah.
Anyway,
very comfortable in their generation.
Anyway, yeah. But you kind of have to like. This is the church route. Like, oh, I'm finally back with my people. Yeah. I mean, dude, you got a lot of people. You got a lot of friends who don't have this weird God complex thing. Maybe like having a little bit of trust in humanity is a little bit okay.
Right.
Like, step back, man. Like, there's a word for a minority that rules over a majority because of racial reasons, and it's not called. No. We're protecting the rights of a minority. No, you're protecting the lordship of the minority. That's apartheid.
That's yeah. I mean, there's a reason you were the bad guy in Lethal Weapon 2.
Yeah,
there's a reason.
Now you could argue that that's a little bit incendiary. That Sedith and Flane aren't bad people, and that's true. They're not bad people. There's very good reasons for them to want to maintain that position of control, or at least not be controlled by a secular human group, because their blood and bones can be used to make weapons. I'd be averse to that too. But we very quickly learn that there might be some drawbacks to this system of direct blood relation control of a secretive, very powerful church-related organization. Rhea, you know how he didn't have a boss fight? Like, Thalos was cool, but he was just kind of there. This isn't the post-game. Rhea has dumped all this information on you, but she's injured, she's tuckered out, and she starts growling. And she turns into a dragon and flies off. And Seth is like, huh, that's not supposed to happen. Rhea, what's wrong? Come back. No, I haven't spoken dragon tongue in like 200 years. It's been a long time since I played Skyrim, Rhea. And like, what's going on? Why is she turning? She's eating sheep and villagers. No, you know,
You're joking.
No,
Are
like,
you?
She is happening? Rhea is on a rampage in dragon form. Seth and Flame is like, wow, she must. I guess she just went crazy. And
what?
Rhea goes crazy. She's injured, I guess, at her limit, and she couldn't control herself. Is the thing.
Are we told dragons do this?
It's kind.
Is this established lore?
Well, I guess you could say that Indek, who is okay, there is a guy who hangs like Saint Indek, one of the saints who, after the war, said, "I'm not going to lead the church. I'm going to go fishing." And then when he was fishing, I don't actually like fishing. I like sitting still near a lake. So he turns into a giant turtle and stays that way for 8,000 years. Apparently, I think there might be some reference to. Seth and Flame don't turn into dragons. I don't think they can because they had to go into a healing coma for a few hundred years. But Rhea just loses control. I don't know. I might have missed it. There might be some hint that if you just can't control your dragon form, this is what happens. But it's what happens. Oh, and just in case, a final boss that's just a dragon. I mean, in Crimson Flower, you had to fight a dragon plus her fanatical followers. In this one, right after Rhea goes crazy, Seth gets more bad news. This time it's not from Hubert. He's out of Post-it notes. A guard shows up. Sir, all the bishops, cardinals, and highest-ranking church people are also turning into dragons.
Oh, the mysterious cardinals.
All the mysterious cardinals.
that Tomas warned us of.
Except for the Western church, because fuck them. And then it's like, okay, something cool maybe something cool is happening. Maybe there is another group of those who maybe Hubert will come back with another expository post-it note. There is also Umbrella Corporation in Western Foldland. They're a pharmaceutical company I never trusted, so I did some digging.
City.
They've been working on a dragon thing. And I think it worked too well. Unfortunately, no. This is all Rhea. She, how she gives blood to Gerald because she likes him to save his life. Apparently, there is a secret ritual she does to everyone she really likes who is really loyal to her. She gives them crest stones and blood, lots of blood, to make them powerful and long-lived and better able to enforce the will of her church. And now that she has gone crazy, all these people that connected to her by blood are losing control of themselves and becoming dragons. Or the people who are most connected to her turn into dragons. Everyone else goes crazy and says, "Blood for the blood dragon." So Seth is like, so Seth is filling you in on this. Okay, here's what's probably happening here. It's a funny story, really. You're gonna laugh, dude. You're making Edelgard sound more and more prescient by the day, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like immortal dragons with a bunch of with a lot of emotional triggers. In a position of power.
What's really hilarious is Blue Lions is very good about opposing Edelgard and showing good reasons to oppose Edelgard. Edelgard and Dimitri are kind of two sides of the same coin, and it kind of it makes sense to follow one or the other. It's literally an ideological difference. It sounds like this is you're just playing the fucking you're playing the dope. You're the dope.
Yeah.
You're just following someone.
You're the good guy in a shooter before shooters could have stories.
You're a pre-Halo good guy in a shooter.
You were James Bond airdropping into a sovereign nation and gunning down the employees of a dam. I love
not currently at war with your nation.
But if you send Seteth to attack Edelgard, in the throne room mission. It's actually really interesting. Edelgard, you must release Fodlan from your grip. And Edelgard's like, what the... Dude, you got some balls. I intend to rule for like 10 years at most before I go fishing and die. I've got magic cancer. You've got magic immortality. Fuck you, Seth.
Right.
But yeah, you have... So the final mission... Sedith makes the note. Sedith, I love you so much before before this route. Sedith says we have to kill Rhea to save Solon because she's insane now and she's a dragon. And an insane dragon is apparently a bad thing. So yeah, you fight through Gargmach Monastery. You fight through all of her insane cardinals that are now dragons. You kill her, and you have an anime cutscene of her flying away, and you running after her on foot. And then she turns back into herself, and she floats down into your arms and says, "Mother, you're here." And if you don't S rank her, she dies. If you do S rank her, hello, mother, grandma, daughter, son. I'm really looking forward to making babies with you. We're going to... Oh, by the way, you're the god emperor of Fodlan now. You are the king. You are the king of Fodlan. And I'm going to be your wife. We're going to make all kinds of dragon babies that are...
The whole thing's just so bizarre. Why does she go crazy? It doesn't give us a good reason why that happens.
She goes crazy because...
So literally everything you did was for nothing. And then if you don't S rank her, she just dies and there's no fanfare, game over?
There's no fanfare. You become king of Fodlan and everything gets better. Because that's what happens every route.
Right.
And this is what I think this is the route that really clicked me for Edelgard. Because there's a because everyone can make the argument that their route is the best because every route ends with that line. Everything got better. It was all worth it no matter what you did. But the commonality is Rhea always leaves at the end. In Blue Lions, she is too tuckered out and she leaves power to you. Mm-hmm. And
you don't even see her. It just says that she does that.
In Church, you become God Emperor of Fodlan, and you have a new perspective, a more fresh perspective, and less baggage. So everything gets better. And Crimson Flower, you don't take charge. Edelgard doesn't take charge. Some other people do. And everything gets better. Golden Deer, everything gets better. It's because of Edelgard's war.
Always.
That's why she's such a good protagonist and such a good villain. Because Dimitri does make a very good argument that a meritocracy will degenerate into strong ruling the weak without safeguards, which is why in Crimson Flower they go into the Empire having that government education system backing the commoners so that they have a social welfare state giving them a floor so that the strong can't oppress the weak. But in the Church, it's just, congratulations, fantasy hero, you won the game, and therefore everything's better.
Right. It's the...
It gives you... It does tell you why you have the crest in your chest. It does tell you why your dad had the crest of Saros, why he was always...
Why he lied in the journal that was left at Gargmach.
You find out you do confront those who slither and kill them.
In the stupidest way possible.
Yeah, and Sedith and Flane are happy because...
It's the Skyrim route. It's the Skyrim route. It's not a lot. It's a lot of...
And Edelgard's friends are like, we did the right thing, right? I mean, we defended... We stood for the flag.
And knelt for Saros.
Honestly, is there anything more you can do for America than stand for the flag? There are people who say that it needs hospitals and schools more than anything, but...
someone I worked with at the job I went to recently, but came back to this job, he made that argument that it's literally all we can do, and if we can't do that, then we're just a piece of shit.
Wow,
and that's the reason we're just a piece of shit, is because it's literally all we can do.
You know, I think the real, I think the real reason the Vietnam War ended is because they knew we were coming. We were going to be born. They had to throw in the towel. And then the reason they went back and started the war again and won because they knew they only had a brief window for me. I was going to be 13. I was going to go over there. I was going to stop them. You know why? Because I stand for Saros.
So, yeah, listen to this podcast instead of playing the church route.
Yeah,
this is an hour and a half.
There are people who have played it and they have, like, yeah, there are good cutscenes. There are bits and pieces of good things. Like Rhea going crazy, that could be good. That could be good. Go into why she's crazy. Have Seth finally have the character development that seems like he should have.
The fact that they don't explain why she went crazy is ridiculous. It's absurd. It's absurd.
Like, Edelgard would say it's the inevitable end result of being immortal and losing track of humanity, but we don't actually say that, and Edelgard's not with us. Seth is, and Seth is always referring to Rhea in terms of where, when.
Right.
When. Come on. Hour and a half podcast. Come on, we gotta save Rhea. Anyway, that is the church route. We're going to talk about Golden Deer route. Much more favorable terms. Crimson Flower is still my favorite, and yes, Edelgard does make a lot of mistakes. A lot of weird things come from her ping-ponging between trying to work with Arundel enough to keep him happy while also preparing to backstab him. Mm-hmm. It comes with the territory of her route.
An excellent written political character. Excellently
and
written.
Dimitri, just very good character. Definitely the best if you're going to play a route yourself. Blue Lions is probably the best.
Blue Lions addresses none of the major issues going on in Fodlan.
Yeah,
none. But best way to describe it is
it's the Dark Brotherhood quest of Oblivion and Skyrim, maybe.
Yeah, it's a
little detached, but you know,
Edelgard, her Edelgard's route or roots or however, it's kind of like Dragon Ball. It's a story of events, whereas Blue Lions is more like Naruto. It's a story of characters.
Yeah,
that's a good way to describe it. I think is Blue Lions is about. It might as well just be called the Dimitri route because it's a story about Dimitri and the people surrounding him. In fact, I think it's the one where you get the only hint that Edelgard's mother may have had something to do with Duskur. I think that's the only one where you get that hint.
Sorry. I'm going to keep doing this for as long as I can now. Patricia never comes up in Edelgard's route. Her mother.
Really?
Yeah. She never references it. She believes that... hey, my voice is back. She... in the Goddess Tower... okay. In the Goddess Tower, you know that Goddess Tower scene with Edelgard?
Yeah.
This is where my father met my mother, you know. She was just a consort, not actually his wife, because that's the way the Empire works. They need a lot of crest babies.
Right.
But I really believe they loved each other. You know what? Sedith does say one thing that kind of really... One of the other things that really pisses me off that Sedith says, because he just assumes it, is that Emperor Ionius is a victim in the story, and he is, but not for the reasons Sedith thinks. It's so sad that Emperor Ionius was unseated by his own daughter. His own daughter just took his power away from him. And then I'm like, Sedith, you do know that Emperor Ionius was a puppet, right? Duke Ire took control, and then all of his children disappeared, except for one. Did nobody ask any questions?
Right. And it's...
Because in Edelgard's route, Emperor Ionius is 1,000% behind Edelgard. His only regret is that this is the fate his daughter has.
Right. It's but it's almost as if Patricia could have been one of those who slither.
It very well could have been,
it's
or
almost
at least
like
been
that.
replaced by one. I don't know if that was actually her name.
And it's it's kind of interesting story development for King Lambert because King Lambert is like just this really good guy, you know. He's just this really hey, I heard that you and your daughter were kicked out of Adrestia. That really sucks. There's always place for. Oh, I fell in love with you. But there's always a place for you in my home. And it's just like hey, I know Duskur hates us, but let's go over there and see. You know, let's just get in. He just seemed like this really good guy, and I think it's interesting, all the different layers. This is just, I know we saw the Golden Deer yet to talk about, but this is just a fantastically written game.
Yeah.
There's so much depth that they didn't have to do.
And Crimson Flower may be the most broken of the roots in terms of budget constraints, and it's really fast-paced, and you can kind of miss a lot of plot points if you don't pay attention to read behind the lines, but thematically it all comes together really satisfying way in the end, because your character gets a lot of development in that, being forced to turn against Rhea, and then at the end becoming just a regular Joe Schmo human. And I said this a lot in the Elder Scrolls games. I generally don't like being the chosen one in a game. I like just being a regular guy.
Right.
And I really like the Edelgard's ending, where you and Edelgard go fishing and let Hubert or Ferdinand or anyone with talent. I think Edelgard's empire is kind of like Confucian China. Anyone can take the state exam to become a minister.
Right.
That seems like the best analog for that time period. But
and it's just a I just think that's really, it's kind of cool how like you learn about other routes by playing other routes. Even though these events don't happen, they give you context for what had happened in these other ones.
Like you learn a lot more about your situation. Like Edelgard doesn't know everything; she suspects, but she can't just ask Rhea.
Right.
But then Rhea actually tells you, and okay, that's the deal with it.
And this is a brilliant main character for this game, because the origins of your birth explain your lack of emotions, although you're able to learn, obviously. And Geralt how Geralt raised you, and how it's interesting now because Geralt raising you the way he did explains why you don't have an affiliation to anything.
Yeah.
Why he kept you dark in politics
You
and
have
religion.
an open mind, so it makes sense. You could choose either way or be led either way, depending on what route you take.
And knowing all this about what Geralt did, how Geralt raised you, it just makes that scene so much more like impactful of, you've never shown emotion your whole life, and the first time I've ever seen you cry is when I'm done. Like Geralt, one of my friends told me recently that the scene where Geralt dies doesn't impact them that much because they didn't grow that attached to Geralt. And I think you have to really play the whole game and then look back on Geralt and be like, him constantly warning you.
Yeah.
Him constantly, the way he raised you and how it's referenced there, and the sort of his whole history. It's very, and the fact of he's like, I've never cared much for the church. He didn't become a Knight of Saros because he wanted to. He became a Knight of Saros because he was rescued and he was in this.
He was indebted to Rhea for a while, and
he learned very quickly that Rhea doesn't take kindly to people who do not live their lives in gratitude of her benevolence.
Yeah, if you're gonna, generally speaking, when you get a warning about somebody's tics, it's gonna be by someone who would call themselves their friend or a family member.
Exactly.
Like, dude, do not bring up Jane Fonda, please. Who the hell is Jane Fonda? Oh, she's an actress. She's technically still alive, but no one really cares.
She was just on a fantastic television show for Netflix.
Yeah. Oh, really? I didn't know that.
She was. It was very great.
I don't watch television.
Or
Netflix.
I was about to catch you. I was like, yeah, it's not television, but it's TiVo.
I never had TiVo.
I didn't either. We couldn't get it out here, but so it's a very interesting explanation for the silent protagonist, like the JRPG silent protagonist. That has a very good explanation in this game, and everything, like just things that JRPGs generally don't have to explain or won't for whatever reason. This game chose to. Like it's and it's incredible that we didn't really know about it until E3 of this year. It's like incredible. There was not hype surrounding this game or anything. It's just they were like, hey, new Fire Emblem game, and you're like, oh, cool. It's just another cannon fodder Fire Emblem game, and you play it, and it's the best one they've ever done.
I didn't know about it until I saw Adam put it in, and I saw Luke started playing it. And then, like, okay, I guess this is my $60 annual budget for a game. I have to wait for January 1 so I can roll over my budget, and
I did. It was funny.
Outer Worlds, I'm gonna buy it, but I have to wait for next year
because after Adam bought it and you guys started the LP, I was on and I saw you show up. your name, Fire Emblem. So we will cover Golden Deer when Luke returns.
Yeah,
I
and,
want Luke here for that.
Have no fear. They have their own final boss, which is worth talking about. Maybe not for half an hour and a half. Probably for an hour and a half.
Probably for an hour and a half. It's Claude and
it
Hilda.
is not. Church is very similar to Golden Deer, but Golden Deer is like a superior church route because Claude's there, and while he is a little detached from the main story, he doesn't have a direct personal relationship with. He does have a very personal relationship with the setting, which I think drives it.
And that also makes him the unique character in that he isn't in this
kind
little
of
family affair.
That outside factor. Nope.
So we will cover that next week. Guys, if you enjoy watching this, it really helps us out if you click that subscribe button. We have recently gone over 200 subscribers.
That terrifies me.
That's it is daunting. It's daunting.
That's like 400 eyes.
But
give or take a few.
Give or take a few, yes.
There's a few people with eye patches who watch it, I'm sure.
Or perhaps a few people who have opened their third eye, which is why they're checking us out, because this is where enlightenment leads you to Donoram.
Tien Shan.
Solar flare. Guys, that's something we couldn't have done on our own. We're only worth 4 subscribers. There's only 4 of us active on Donoram, but you helped us get there.
Wait, I can subscribe?
God damn it, John. So you guys helped us get there. Spread the word. If you like these, let your friends know. I'm confident they'll like them. Who wouldn't want to listen?
Look, it's a very it's very esoteric. You probably never heard of it.
This is your opportunity to be the guy.
That guy.
You could be that guy. We only have 200 subscribers. Be that guy now. The guy that was like, you know what? I listened when they were on a blue microphone, talking all around a thing, and it sounded like shit. You could be that guy.
This is the spit wine that you can't get anywhere else. It's brewed in my toilet. You can't get this from Bordeaux.
So subscribe, share us, and also when you subscribe, you get to be the first to know when we upload things. You know, you'll get a notification on your phone.
We don't have swag, but if you like Wapaka, I have a lot of Wapaka stress balls.
Steel Mill. If you are into the Rust Belt memorabilia, brother, we've got you. Sister, we've got you. Otherwise, we've got you.
There's an old propane tank in the backyard. I don't think it was used for illicit purposes. It can be yours once we hit 1 million subscribers.
Call now. Guys, just thank you very much. We love doing this, and we don't know any of you, but we're sure we'd like you. We're certain.
I was gonna say I've never met a man I didn't like, and that's not true. There are very few women I never. No, there's a few. There are actually a lot of people I don't get along with now that I think about it. But I have to get along with it because that's my job. So.
And by the way, we do know a few of you. I just thought a few of our subscribers we do know.
And we do have one subscriber who has a very nice ASMR channel. She put me to sleep, and I needed sleep. I don't remember her name. Look her up. In fact, subscribe, then look up all of our subscribers. Subscribe to them. Pay it forward.
But
I know how algorithms work.
Most importantly, make Vegas swing, baby.
Ring-a-ding-ding.